You're listening to Chat with the Experts, brought to you by Angie's List on 93 WIBC.
Welcome to Chat with the Experts, brought to you by Angie's List. I'm Kyle Hawk, and I'm going to be your host today. I'm very happy to have you along for the ride with us. Our show is all about giving you the knowledge you need when it comes to home and lifestyle topics. And every week on the show, we invite qualified and reputable service providers to give us the ins and outs of their field. Last week, we howled all about pet care, how to prepare your pets for the upcoming season, and even get some great grooming tips as well, all courtesy of Deb Mino of Puppy Playground in Indianapolis. It was a really fun discussion. If you've got some pets, this is a show you're going to want to hear. You can do so by subscribing to our podcast. Just pull up iTunes on your home computer or the podcast app on your smartphone and search Chat with the Experts. You can subscribe and stay up to date on every show we release. You can also leave us a review and let us know what you like about the show. You can, of course, also find us at angieslist.com. You're going to get reviews on service providers in your area. And whether you're looking for something as simple as a dog walker or even a home remodeling pro for your next big home project, you can find what you need on Angie's List, and it's absolutely free to join. There's no cost. Just go to angieslist.com, click Join Now, and get started with searching for service providers in your area and getting some really great deals on home service as well. Well, on today's show, we are revving our engines for a talk all about auto care. You know, fall is here and winter is just around the corner, which typically raises some questions about what you need to do to ensure that your car is ready for the season. However, with so many advances in the auto industry, do you even need to worry about winterizing your car? Well, that's just one of several questions that we're going to be addressing on today's show. And to help us out with this discussion, we're happy to welcome Bob Waeiss of Integrity Automotive here in Indianapolis onto our show today. Integrity Automotive started in 1994 and provides all kinds of auto care and repair services, including brakes, steering, suspension, timing belts, and so much more. Bob is a car expert, and we're excited to hear what he has to share with us today. Bob, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I want to start off by asking if you've always been a car guy. Has that always been your interest to be working on cars, or is that something you took on later?
Started out as a kid, basically high school. Found a job very close to where I was going to school. Worked for a great guy that kind of raised a handful of us from rookies to highly trained technicians, and now we're all kind of doing our own thing.
Would you say that early on, I mean, a lot of your experience was just hands-on working on cars, and you just kind of grew your knowledge from there?
Definitely. Hands-on is the best teacher, but working with someone that has experience, that mentor, that journeyman, so to speak, is definitely the way to go.
Yeah. Well, tell us a little bit about your role at Integrity Automotive.
Chief cook and bottle washer. I am the owner, and I fill the gaps. And as with a lot of industries right now, automotive being one of them, hard to find good help. And so because I'm a technician, I'm out in the base working on the cars every day.
Yeah, well, that's excellent. We're excited to talk about cars today and several different things associated with automotive care. And something that I mentioned at the start of the show is about winterization. And usually as we head towards the colder months, people start thinking about it's that time to think about doing a tune-up on my vehicle. But I wanted to start by asking how you've seen vehicles evolve over the years in terms of what we think about with winterization.
It has changed. It's evolved. The sophistication of which cars have been made, they run so much cleaner. Simple things like oil changes don't need to be done nearly as often. The old rule of thumb was every 3,000 miles. There's manufacturers out there now that recommend every 10,000 miles. Technology has come a long way. Everything lasts a lot longer. We used to be very routine with our customers on scheduled maintenance recommendations every 30,000. So 30, 60, and 90K, 30, 60, and 90,000 miles. We were always recommending routine services like spark plugs and fluid changes and that sort of thing. Now that interval's jumped up to 100,000.
Oh, wow.
So that routine service where we used to see a customer 3-4 times a year for regular oil changes and services, it's nowhere near that now. So a customer with a newer car, we might see him once a year aside from oil changes. So much better, much more efficient, better for the consumer, and it has come a long way since I started.
So it sounds like a lot of car owners may not even need to worry about winterization. You know, I mean, not to rush through the fall season here, but we're starting to experience, a few degree temperature drop, and people start thinking about the holidays, maybe trips they're going to be taking. But it sounds like you may already be set if you're doing just your regularly scheduled maintenance.
Kind of a false sense of security there. You're right in that they don't have to be as concerned about it. But for example, we have a very regular customer base. And what they forget is even though the cars are better, you still need to check the oil.
Sure.
So we see a lot of customers come in for an oil change and they're only at 5,000 miles, but they haven't checked the oil and there's no oil on the stick. It still uses the oil. You don't have to change it, but you still need to check it, make sure it's full. Same thing with going into winter. We recommend to our customers to kind of coordinate a schedule of fall service.
Okay.
Do your oil change, and you can start in September, October, November. Do an oil change. We're going to be looking at tires, tire wear, the fluids, in particular the coolant, make sure it's okay. But so many cars now have where the big winterization thing was changing the antifreeze. Now most cars, the antifreeze is good for 100, even 150,000 miles. So the fear factor of freezing an engine up is pretty much gone. But still, you need to keep it fresh, keep it from crudding up the system and that sort of thing.
Do you find that this time of year people start asking some of those questions about maintenance they need before, holiday travel or even just driving in conditions in the winter?
And what we're approaching right now, it seems to be kind of a Thanksgiving trip era, or whatever you want to call it. The people tend to travel for Thanksgiving, so we're seeing people bringing their car for a trip inspection. Usually we'll do an oil change, check the fluids, check the tires, but again, we're looking at all the fluids, in particular belts and hoses and that sort of thing.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you about snow tires, because this is something you'll hear people talk about this time of year as we head toward winter. Tell us a little bit about what a snow tire is for anybody that doesn't know, and if this is something that car owners that aren't using them may want to consider.
Snow tires are just much more aggressive in their tread, deeper lugs. If you can picture the tread on a tire, snow tires typically have bigger and deeper tread. In Indianapolis, Carmel area where my shop is, you're probably not going to really need a snow tire. If you're in a rural area or an area where it just doesn't get plowed and you get plenty of snow tires would be a good option. Most of the tires we see on the cars today are considered all-season tread. Okay. So for an urban situation, probably don't need to go to the expense of putting snow tires on. The disadvantage of snow tires, you can run them all year long, but they tend to be noisy on the road, on dry pavement, so it's just kind of an annoyance, that sort of thing. But most cars today, all-season treads, steel belted radials are sufficient for our weather around town.
Yeah, definitely. I want to come back to the conversation about tires a little bit later in the show as we talk about things to consider in terms of wear on the tread and rotating the tires. But in thinking again about the coming season, something that we've heard at Angie's List, we hear these conversations happening, is warming up the car. So, in a couple months here, you'll have frost on the windshield when you go out in the morning, and typically it was kind of perceived as you need to get out there in the morning, turn the car on, warm up the engine before you drive it. But it's sounding like, just as you mentioned earlier with the evolution of some of these vehicles, that's not necessarily something that you always need to do. Do you have any thoughts on the best way to handle that?
The only reason to do an extended warm-up is so that the inside of the car is warm for you. And so many vehicles now, especially the newer models, you can get the remote start option. So literally you can start the vehicle from in the house and go out to a nicely warmed up car. As far as the vehicle is concerned, it's probably better to warm it up, but give it 60 seconds, 90 seconds to start and run and get the oil pumped up, oil pressure pumped up, transmission fluid moving around a little bit. That's really the extent of it. To fire it up and put it in gear and go, give it a few seconds. Don't just start and go. Give it a few seconds. Yeah, and
of course, you make the great point for those of us that maybe want to step into a car and not immediately see our breath in the air. Sometimes it is a good idea to turn the heater on for a moment before you hop in. Yep. So, well, we have got more to come on the show. We're actually going to take a quick break right now, but don't turn off the engine just yet. When we come back, we're going to talk with Bob about caring for your tires and how to know when it's time to switch out the battery in your car. None of us want to get caught this winter stuck on the road with a dead battery and unable to start the car, so stay tuned for that. When it comes to auto care, the rubber meets the road on today's Chat with the Experts, brought to you by Angie's List.
At Angie's List, we believe finding quality service at a fair price should be easy. Providing access to 10 million verified reviews is just one way that we help our members find the quality service that they love. And to help them feel even more confident about their home services they buy, our Silver and Gold members can also qualify for Angie's Guarantees when purchasing certain e-commerce offers on angieslist.com. Learn more and get the complete details at angieslist.com today.